To bedevil is to torment and cause trouble, so often the lens through which we perceive the concept of supernatural presence. The interventions of the dead are demands for the recognition of the history we have chosen to forget. Tracy Moffat's 1993 film BeDevil considers the same demand, of the persistence of the dead and their stories in the ineffable qualities of a place. Through its three disconnected ghost stories, the film explores the conjunction of space and place that gives rise to feelings of presence and hauntedness. It is crucially through Moffat's distinct visual language and dreamlike qualities in depicting their respective landscapes that these tales unite into a singular exploration of the essence of place. Space and place, as discussed here, refer to two distinct domains of understanding and inquiry, as distinguished by Hugh Davies in his lecture. Space refers to physical location that can be planned, traversed, structured, and mapped. On the other hand, place refers to the emotional, experiential, and memorable elements of a physical space, that which is felt. In other words, space is the objective, physical, quantitative element of a location, whereas place is the subjective, perceived, qualitative element. This distinction is crucial in the discussion of Moffat's film, in which the influence of the ghosts is enhanced by her attention to placehood, their emotional rather than physical presence. These ghosts personify the tragic events of the past, their presence altering the qualitative character of the spaces they inhabit, and instilling a specific emotion. In Mr. Chuck, it is a palpable rage and urge to do violence. In Choo 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 Choo, it is discomfort, confusion, and a feeling of sleepwalking. And in Lovin' the Spin I'm In, it's an overwhelming sadness and loss. Much of BeDevil's narrative is told to us by its characters. As Romaine Morton writes for the National Film and Sound Archive, quote, "BeDevil uses myth interwoven with living memory to evoke a sense of place," end quote. Parts of the first two stories are shot on real locations, adopting a pseudo-documentary approach, with subjects directly addressing the camera as they recount the central tale. However, to depict the tales being told, the film departs completely from these grounded documentary sections to this. Location shooting is abandoned, replaced with these far more dramatic and outlandish sets constructed on sound stages. The stories are further intercut with the present-day retellings, heightening their distinction from reality. These expressionistic locations work to both heighten the dreamlike qualities of the stories and to draw attention to their artifice as recollections constructed from multiple accounts and legends. In doing so, they establish place as not simply an objective location, but a malleable internal landscape. In their essay Representing the Place Pastiche, Aitken and Zahn propose that, within the cinematic art form, reality is not simply captured, displayed, or represented, but rather represented, constructed anew within the viewer through cinematic language and convention. Quote, "Cinematic images do not merely capture, mimic, or mirror people and places. Instead, these images are signifying events that are not passively observed, but are actively reconstructed as they are viewed," end quote. In this way, Moffat uses her artificial landscapes to influence how these events are represented and reconstructed, instilling them with a distinct emotional character. Such is starkly the case in BeDevil's most visually striking landscape, that of the second tale, Choo 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 Choo. The central set is based on a real abandoned homestead where the present-day documentary section takes place. This allows Moffat to draw distinctions and parallels between the two time periods, while taking creative liberties in depicting the atmosphere of the flashbacks. The homestead is set within a barren wasteland, the only building in sight, surrounded by these mysterious protrusions like jagged rocks or termite mounds. In reality, the house is set back from the train tracks, which are central to the story, but in the dreamscape of the retelling, they are right there in front of it. Like a dream, these sequences do not seek to reconstruct the environment exactly as it was, but to lay out all the broad pieces to convey how it felt. The trains felt like they were right outside the front door as they barreled along. The veranda didn't feel like it was that far off the ground. The desert around us felt empty. To return to Aitken and Zahn, quote, "There is in film a significant tension between the place in film and the space of film. There is, however, a way in which this tension is transcended by the animation of landscape as part of the narration or description," end quote. Such is the essence of the film's visual representations, where the land is enlivened and transformed into an entity within the story. BeDevil's surreal landscapes draw attention not only to the artifice of the stories diegetically, as representations of history and placehood, but to the cinema itself as an attempt to reconstruct a qualitative element of reality, namely the feeling of a place at a time. Her ghosts are bound to spaces, but it is not over the physical that they hold sway. Instead, They embody the events of the past, invoking a new sense of place that reaches out beyond them, where that which is forgotten does not cease to exist, but lingers.